This will be an overview of the written assignment, the article critique. The article critique is an analysis of a journal article. In 520, you will submit 2 article critiques. There are several documents you will need to complete your article critique. The first is an article. Students are responsible for finding their own articles, either through the library or online. You will submit 2 article critiques. One of the article critiques should be from an article in a peer-reviewed journal. A peer-reviewed journal is a journal that, before an article is published in the journal, it must be reviewed by those within the field. In the USF Library Online Research Database, you will find a box that you will check that will indicate that you are seeking journal articles that are peer review. In addition, you should review the Miniature Guide to Critical Thinking, specifically page 11, the Article Critique Tutorial Assignment, a PowerPoint presentation, a second stage, which is an article critique prep work, and then some article critique sample assignments. All of these documents will be found in one of 2 places. In additional readings, you will see the Miniature Guide to Critical Thinking, and in the assignment guidelines and rubrics, you will find the guidelines, the tutorial for the article critique, tutorial, the second stage, the prep work, and some student examples. We'll begin by looking at the Miniature Guide for Critical Thinking. On page 11 is a template for analyzing the logic of an article. Here we have questions, when answered, would help guide you to a strong article critique. For instance, the main purpose of the article is, the key question that the author is addressing is, and so forth. We use this guide in many instances to critique a work, the literature, an article, a document. This helps us look at the work unbiased and come to some conclusions of which the author is intending the reader. It also helps us look at the article using a critical lens. Let's begin by looking at the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint, again, can be found in Assignment Guidelines and Rubrics under Article Critique, Article Critique Tutorial. The beginning of the Article Critique tutorial walks us through why and to write an article critique and several rules to follow. Next, it walks us through the first 4 questions. These questions are abbreviated from page 11 in the Miniature Guide for Critical Thinking. It gives us some answers to the responses to the questions using color codes. Q1 is for the first question, black. Q2, second question, blue. Q3, red, and Q4, green. If you notice, they're not necessarily in order. It does not need to be ordered when you write up the final article critique. The PowerPoint continues with the next 2 questions and the responses from the next 2 questions. Then the final 3 questions and the responses for the final 3 questions. The last slides of the article critique tutorial gives us some additional information on the layout of your final product. We also need to look at the prep work. Here, a student has written the questions and composed responses, most likely during when they were reading the article. As you can see, it's a long document. This document is only to be used to help you with the final product. You will not turn this document in. Here we have the first question, what is the author trying to do? The second one, what is the main or most significant idea or key question of this source? And the third, how does the author achieve his or her goal? Let's look at the final product. Looks like my computer as there we have the back in the assignment guidelines and rubrics. Let's look at an example. In this example, what we'll see is the reference in APA style. We have in the top header a concise description of the topic, and in the footer the author's the student's last name, comma, their first initial. If you noticed, it is in single space, which is not APA style. This is the only change, just so we can have a one-page document. But it does have indentation, Times New Roman, 12-point font, and the correct reference at the top format. If you use a direct quote from the author, then please use the page number of where you would find the direct quote. It is not necessary to use author, comma, year, because the author and year is at the top of the page. What we look through, we'd find things such as the first one, the first question, second question, the intended audience, how the author has supported their argument, what are some limitations in the author's discussion, and though the conclusion, did their findings support their key question. Again, you will submit 2 article critiques for Business 520. The first one is due this week.